I left my cheating girlfriend at the airport and flew to Greece with another woman. My girlfriend, Alicia, and I had been together for a couple of years. We were both really excited about our upcoming vacation to Greece. I worked really hard and had saved up a bunch of money so that we could really enjoy ourselves, without limitation. It was supposed to be a magical week, filled with adventure and romance. Little did I know, the adventure part would come true, just not in the way I had expected. A few weeks before our trip, Alicia had a girls' night out. She came home late, and I didn't think much of it at the time. But then, just a week before our trip, I found some disturbing text messages on her phone from a guy named Brad. Just for the record, I wasn't snooping on her phone. She had left it on my counter when she was in the bathroom. It was on silent mode, but it lit up. Instinctively, I just looked down at the message preview and it said, "Are you still good for later?" So, curious, I opened her phone and boom, there it was. A whole thread of messages back and forth with Brad. They were talking about how good of a time they'd been having together, if you know what I mean. It turned out that she had met him at the bar that night and had been seeing him on the side ever since. Wow, just wow. What in the actual Hades was going on here? I had been saving for months for this trip. She and I always wanted to go to Greece together, but now she had done this and I couldn't stand the thought of having to be with her right now. I was devastated, to say the least. There was no way I was going to go through with this now, and I was certainly going to dump her right away. I was on my way to start pounding on the bathroom door and yelling, but then flashbacks of my childhood flashed in my mind. My father was loud and violent sometimes, and it always scared me as a child. I felt like I was about to become him. So I stopped right there, fist tight and about an inch from the door, and I thought about it. What if I could find a peaceful and non-violent way to get back at her and maybe have a little fun at the same time? Then it hit me. You see, I had reconnected with an old schoolmate of mine, Erin, about a year ago on Facebook. Erin had always been stunningly beautiful, but we were just friends. However, we had been chatting and catching up over the past year, and she seemed like the perfect person to help me execute my plan. So I called Erin and filled her in on the situation. I asked her if she'd like to go to Greece with me, and without hesitating, she agreed. I couldn't believe it. First of all, she really is a good person, and she had no connection to Alicia, so it wasn't going to be a major emotional event for her. She was more than happy to be there to help me through this tough time. Luckily, she had enough vacation time saved up, and she was more than happy to be part of my little revenge scheme. We agreed to meet at the airport the day of the flight, and I went ahead and changed the name on Alicia's ticket to Erin's. On the day of the flight, I was a bundle of nerves. Erin was already at the airport, waiting in the wings. I picked up Alicia and we drove to the airport. I was quiet on the way. She asked me if I was okay, and I kind of got smart with her. I said everything was just wonderful. After all, I was going to be in Greece soon, so I wasn't lying. But I know I was projecting a different vibe. She could totally sense something, and I did my best to get back into character. I started talking about some of the places I was looking forward to seeing. It helped me take the edge back off. When Alicia and I arrived at the check-in counter, I handed over our passports and tickets, doing my best to keep my cool. The ticket agent scanned our documents and then looked up at us with a puzzled expression. This was it. This was the moment the bomb would drop. "I'm sorry," she said, "but this ticket is for an Erin Smith, not Alicia Meadows." Alicia was confused, of course, and started arguing with the ticket agent. Meanwhile, I was doing my best to hide a smirk. And then, just as the tension was reaching its peak, Erin emerged from her hiding spot, looking absolutely gorgeous and holding her passport in hand. "Actually," I said, trying to sound as nonchalant as possible, "Erin is right here." Alicia's face went from confused to furious in a split second. And that's when I dropped the bomb. "I know you've been cheating on me with that loser Brad," I told her, my voice surprisingly steady. "So I figured you'd be better off staying here and having a great time at the bar while Erin and I enjoy our vacation in Greece. We're done, and I never want to see you again." Alicia looked like she was about to explode, and then she just started sobbing. She asked me how I knew, and I told her it didn't matter. She asked me if I had been cheating on her with Erin, and before I could answer, Erin spoke up. "No, ma'am. I've never been a cheater, and I will never be with a cheater." Before Alicia could say much of anything else, I grabbed Erin's hand and walked away. A ticket agent, who had been watching the entire scene unfold, simply nodded at us and led us through the gate. I turned around one more time and smiled as I entered the gate. The ticket agent had turned towards the gate so she could finally release a big smile as she shook her head. LOL. Erin and I boarded the plane, both of us still in disbelief at what had just happened. We settled into our seats, and as the plane took off, we clinked our little plastic glasses together in a toast to new beginnings and unexpected adventures. It was an exhilarating feeling, and we couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. As we settled into our vacation, Erin and I spent our days exploring Athens, visiting ancient ruins, and indulging in delicious Greek food. We spent our evenings sharing stories from our lives, reminiscing about old times, and discovering that we had more in common than we ever realized. As the days went by, I found myself feeling grateful for the twist of fate that had led us to this moment. Alicia, meanwhile, was not having such a great time back home. First of all, she had to catch a cab back home. Remember, I drove us to the airport, LOL. Word of our airport encounter spread quickly among our friends, and she became something of a laughingstock. I even heard that Brad, the loser she'd been cheating with, had ditched her after finding out what had happened. As much as I didn't want to admit it, there was a small part of me that felt vindicated by her misfortune. But Erin and I didn't dwell on that for long. Instead, we focused on enjoying the time we had together in Greece. We visited stunning beaches, hiked breathtaking trails, and even tried our hand at traditional Greek dancing. And, as the sun set on our final day in Greece, we found ourselves standing on a hill overlooking the ocean, hand in hand, as the sky turned brilliant shades of orange and pink. As we stood there, I felt a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. The heartbreak and betrayal I had felt just a week ago seemed like a distant memory. I turned to Erin, and as our eyes met, I knew that this trip had brought us much closer than we ever could have imagined. "We should do this again sometime," I said, grinning. Erin smiled back at me, her eyes shining with the promise of new adventures. "I'd like that," she agreed. And so, as we boarded the plane back home, it was clear that our trip to Greece had been more than just a vacation. It had been a journey of healing, of rediscovery, and of unexpected connections. And, though neither of us knew exactly what the future held, we were both excited to see where this new chapter in our lives would take us. As for Alicia, well, let's just say that she learned a valuable lesson that day at the airport. Cheaters never prosper. And sometimes, they get left behind in the most epic way possible. That was pretty intense. How do you think he handled it? Is there something different that you would have done? Let us know what you think in the comments below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.